Trying to prepare a backdrop or a background for your portrait assignment, and this is what we are going to try to do in a bigger paper, of course. So let's go ahead and get started. First, you want to loosen up your watercolor before anything. So I have a very cheap, just any kind of watercolor. I do a lot of watercolor professionally as well, and I just use these very cheap Prang brand, and it works just fine. So I just want to go ahead and put some water on the palette. Go ahead and give decent amount for both. And I want you to try to choose at least 2 of the light colors. I'm going to drop some waters, let that loosen up, okay? And I'm going to put it aside. What that's going to do, because the watercolor pigment is pretty much dried at this time, you putting your water is going to loosen up the pigment so that it's easier for us to grab it a little later. So I'm going to go ahead and put it aside for now. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and tape down your watercolor or mixed medium paper. I'm going to go ahead and put it right in the middle. And I'm going to use masking tape or any painter's tape. You can find these at Home Depot or Hobby Lobby, or any kind of tape will do. The clear tape should be able to hold for this purpose. We're trying to create a very abstract background, really. About 1/4 of an inch coverage for each 4 corners. I think we are good so far. All right, now that's ready to go, and I'm going to go back to my watercolor, and I'm going to go ahead and just pick up that loosened up pigment and place it on the palette. We don't ever want to go directly from the color to paint because we cannot control the colors. And fun thing about watercolor is that whenever it dries about 20% lighter in shade. So you always want to go a little bit darker than you purposely wanted to have. Pretty fun fact. It appears to be lighter in shade whenever it dries because there's no water that makes it contrasty. So I'm going to go ahead and just soak up all that pigment. You see how easily it loosens up? I just want to make sure I have all that. All right, very good. So I'm just going to set it aside, and I'm ready to go ahead and start making that. Here we have our paper. So I'm going to go ahead and just use water and just put a decent amount of water. This is 300-pound cold pressed paper, so it will hold really well. So I'm just going to spread it around, cover the whole page. You can even use your hand to do this. All right, I think it's pretty well covered. I'm going to just pick up some of the extra water that we have on the side. All right, I'm going to just shift it just a tiny bit. The water sort of soaks in to the paper towel. I think we are good. So let's go ahead and get started with paint. I'm going to go ahead and use large paintbrush here. Just pick and just drop it. You don't even have to really paint with it. You're just dropping it with. If you don't have paintbrush, you can just mix your paint on a small cup and just pour that paint. Our objective is trying to create abstract sort of an image that's going to serve as a pretty nice background. Now that I'm done with that, I'm going to go ahead and pick up a little bit of orange and just drop here and there. And I'm going to try my best to cluster them. Now, what you're going to do, you're going to just move it around to cover the whole thing. Not too much, just enough. And do you see a puddle of water? Just let it be. Just let it be. With watercolor, let the water do the work for you. All right, and that's it. This is going to prep your background for your portrait painting, and I hope you actually have fun with it.